What's up, Eagles fans, and welcome back to the Film Room presented by Chickies and Pete's. I'm Fran Duffy, and today we're going to continue our look at the Eagles' 2020 rookie class. And today we're going to focus on fifth-round pick linebacker Shaun Bradley. Now, all cards on the table. I am a Temple guy. I graduated from Temple back in 2011, started there in 2004. In between, as I was working on my degree, spent 5 seasons working full-time for the football program. So, close ties to that Temple squad, to Edberg Olson Hall up there on North Broad Street. And one of the big things that I love about Shaun Bradley, he earned a single digit, which if you're not familiar with that tradition, they give out numbers 1 through 9, the single digits on that roster, to the toughest guys on the team, the guys that best represent that Temple tough mentality. John Chaney kind of coined the phrase. Former head coach Al Golden, my old boss, kind of instituted that tradition there with the football program, and it's carried through. It was carried through by Steve Addazio, Matt Rule, Jeff Collins, and now with Rod Carey, who is the head coach there currently up there on North Broad. So, that being said, we're going to take a look at a couple games here of Shaun Bradley against some of the biggest opponents on the schedule. All 3 of them were wins for this Owls football team last year. They beat Maryland at the Link. They went on the road and beat Georgia Tech. And they also beat Memphis, the eventual conference champions. The only loss they had on the schedule throughout the course of the regular season was against the Temple Owls. So we're going to take a look at all 3 of those games. Some of the plays that I kind of earmarked as ones that I wanted to save for down the road as I was watching them back in the spring and in the fall. So we're going to start here with this Maryland game. Here's Shaun Bradley, and what you're going to see from this Maryland offense is a lot of RPOs, a lot of run-pass options, where you're going to see the run action, obviously, in the backfield and then along the offensive line, all right? So they're all blocking for the run. The quarterback, he's going to make a read off one defender and decide, hey, am I going to hand this ball off, or am I going to throw it on this in-breaking route coming from the slot that's coming right off the screen? So really, he's going to try and make that read off of Shaun Bradley right here. And so we're going to let this play for a sec, and you're going to see exactly how this play plays out. There's the quarterback making that read. He thinks that window's open. Shaun Bradley takes the window away. Again, there's Shaun Bradley on the right side. He initially reacts to the run, but you see him put his foot in the ground, come back in, gets his hand in the passing lane, and comes away with a pass breakup. Now, a little bit later, a couple series later in this game, we're going to take a look at a play with Bradley against the run. And obviously, playing against the run, a huge part of playing the linebacker position. Now, you may remember earlier this summer, I did my Coach's Masterclass series with linebackers coach Ken Flagel. We talked about fitting the run, gap responsibilities with linebackers and really everybody on the defense and how they have to fit their run. Everybody has a responsibility on every single play. Every defense a little bit different in terms of gap responsibilities and just how they try and deploy it. But every play, every player is responsible for certain gaps in the defense, depending on how the offense is going to try and run the football. So we're going to take a look at this play here. And again, here is Shaun Bradley. And I just want you to watch how this run play is going to be deployed, because ball snapped. All right, and you can kind of get a sense really quickly. Shaun Bradley is supposed to try and play front side of this block, on the outside shoulder of that offensive lineman. But what he's going to do is he's actually going to work inside. So he's going to work on the opposite shoulder. Now, a lot of coaches will look at this a little bit differently and say, okay, if you're going to do that, you're going out of your gap, you better make the play. So you've got to have the athleticism, you've got to have the confidence in yourself to be able to go back door and make this play. And that's exactly what Bradley does. He is able to avoid that block, stick his foot in the ground. That's the first look at his athleticism, all right, that we're going to see here. Again, this showed up at the combine, but it's not easy. You're flowing to your right, foot in the ground, comes back to the same direction he was initially flowing. Again, just speaking to that athleticism, but really the big thing here is that he's able to defeat that block with quickness, with foot quickness. So you're able to defeat that block, stay square to the line of scrimmage, and then finish one-on-one for a tackle in the hole. Now, the big thing that you're going to see with Shaun Bradley a lot is his ability to defeat blocks. He can get stuck on blocks at times when he tries to take on an offensive lineman one-on-one in the hole. But if you've got the ability to defeat blocks, not just with your hands, but with your feet, now you're working. As long as you're able to defeat that block, stay in your gap, and finish, that's what ultimately it comes down to. And now we're going to see here Shaun Bradley once again on the right side of our screen here. And what you're going to see from this Maryland offense is just a zone run. They're going to be zoning to the left. This running back here is going to come across the formation and block the backside defensive end, and the ball's going to go to the running back 15. He's going to step to his left. It's going to be a little bit of a zone run. So the matchup that we're looking for, obviously right here, is the right tackle going up against Shaun Bradley. That's the matchup that we're going to try and focus on. So watch what Bradley does to avoid this block. He attacks downhill, is able to avoid that block, stay square, and make the play in the hole. Now, is he going to see more athletic offensive linemen that have that ability to get up to the second level a little bit faster in the NFL? Of course he is. He's going to face a little bit better competition than what he sees there in that first-year starter at right tackle for Maryland. But again, the ability to stay square, defeat that block, get into the hole, stop it for a 0-yard gain, that's what you're looking for on first down. All right, let's go to the end of the game here. Now, this is a crucial situation. Temple is up 5 points, just about 3.5 minutes left. It's 4th and goal. Big play in the game. If Temple gets the stop, they're likely coming away with the W. So who's going to come up and make this big play? Again, here is Shaun Bradley. He is responsible for the B gap in between that guard and that tackle. This is going to be a run in that direction. They're going to try and attack that B gap. Here's the fullback. He's going to try and insert into this hole here. Well, how is Shaun Bradley going to react to this play? Watch how quickly he triggers 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. How quickly does he see it and jump into the backfield? You love to see this if you're a Temple fan, number one, but also if you're scouting him as an NFL draft evaluator, you're going to see the quick trigger there, understanding how quickly he needs to get downhill, the ability to close, and then the force on contact as well is a big thing. You see him just stop that running back in his tracks. That's Anthony McFarland. Ended up being a 4th-round pick, I believe, 5th-round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you see Shaun Bradley, again, explode downhill, finish one-on-one in the backfield. Huge tackle for loss, and Temple comes away with a huge win at home against a Power 5 opponent in Maryland. Huge win for the team. Now, let's fast forward a couple weeks later against Memphis. And I mentioned only loss for Memphis in the regular season came against the Temple Owls. I was actually at that game. This game was very important to me because this was October 12th, 2019, first game that I ever brought my son to, first football game he ever attended. If you know me, that's a very important day in my life. So my son goes to this game. I'm watching film of this game a couple of days ago, preparing for this segment. Couldn't help but think of that. But early on in this game, so this is second quarter, we're going to see Shaun Bradley once again with the play recognition, just understanding how to fit the run. Now, on this play, it appears that Shaun Bradley is responsible for this A gap. All right, so again, really quickly, A gaps are right here. They're the gaps that are in between the center and the guard. Your B gaps are in between the guard and the tackle. Your C gaps outside the tackle, between the tackle and the tight end in this case, and D gap is outside the tight end. All right, so that's what when I say A gap, B gap, C gap, that's what I mean, is those gaps in between those specific offensive linemen. So on this play, Shaun Bradley is responsible. He's here, number 5, responsible for this A gap on the right side, his right side. So this defensive tackle is responsible for this A gap. This defensive tackle is responsible for the B gap, so on and so forth. You kind of pick through and see who's responsible for each gap. Now, what happens if this offensive lineman pulls? Well, now the gaps kind of change a little bit, right? Because that gap no longer exists, right? So we're going to just kind of fast forward here a little bit. Once Shaun Bradley, again, number 5, sees that offensive lineman is pulling, because again, now the gaps have changed. This was the B gap initially. He's still sitting in his gap. He has got to make sure that he tracks and gets to the spot where this run is going, because again, that offensive lineman is pulling. You're going to have another blocker here coming from the backside. This is a little bit of a counter run play from the shotgun from the offense. All right, so the ball's coming this way. Shaun Bradley has to scrape over the top, get back in position to defend this run. Make sure that they still have a hat on a hat here on the play side. So he's able to avoid that block right here, stay square to the line of scrimmage, because you're not going to be able to do anything, defeat a block or make a tackle if you're turned to the sideline. Stay square to the line of scrimmage, and then just watch him. And once again, stick his hat in there and watch the pop on contact. He's going up against the tight end here in the hole, but just watch the pop on contact here from Shaun Bradley. Sticks his face in, stays square, and is able to help his teammates make the tackle. He doesn't make the stop there, but a huge play. Good understanding of the run fit there by Shaun Bradley, and we're going to see the same thing a little bit later. Here he is, once again, number 5. This time, he's responsible for what? He's responsible for the B gap. This defensive tackle's got the A gap. This linebacker, Chappelle Russell, another guy who was drafted on day 3 of this draft, he's responsible for the A gap, B gap, and so on and so forth, right? So we're going to see the same thing. Again, he's responsible for this B gap, but what happens when guys start to pull? He's going to get both linemen on his side are going to pull opposite. They're going to pull away from Bradley. So he understands, I've got to make sure that I insert and become a part of the run fit. Make sure that they don't have more white jerseys than we have red jerseys in the direction of this run. So we're going to just let this play out just a little bit. This double team right here is designed to come back and take care of whoever that backside defender is. And so there's Shaun Bradley. He's getting ready to run right into this double team. What have we talked about already? His ability to defeat the block, dip his shoulder around, stay square, get into the backfield, contribute on this tackle, 1 yard gain. And that's what you want from your backside linebacker. Now, we're going to show another play. We're showing the same kind of skill set. Again, his ability to kind of recognize the block, understand what his role is in the run fit, defeat the block that's coming, and get to the football. We're going to see the same thing here just a few plays later. Again, here's Shaun Bradley right here in the center of your screen. This time, he's responsible for the A gap. Defensive tackle in the other A gap, this defensive tackle in the B gap, this defensive end over here in the C gap. You're starting to see, okay, here who's responsible for what position. You're going to have another defender here who's going to be responsible for this gap. So now all of this is true. Now what happens if there's a puller, right? So we understand what Bradley's assignment is. What does he see right as the ball snapped? Here's the offensive lineman pulling from his right to the left. So that means that he has got to account for that, right? Because he was responsible for this gap. Now his gap has changed. He's got to get over the top, get into the direction of where this ball is going to go. This offensive lineman is going to try and get up to the second level and block Shaun Bradley. So he's got to dip and slip this block while staying square, stay square line of scrimmage, defeat the block, put yourself in a position to make the tackle. Coach Flazell, when we did the Coach's Masterclass, said that this high-speed internet, the ball is snapped. How quickly does he have to see this? And again, he's reading it. All right, so he's what's called reading the triangle, okay? He's going to read the quarterback, he's got to read the running back, and the offensive line. He's got to have an understanding of what all three of these positions are doing. That's going to determine what he's going to do next. And so he reads the offensive lineman pulling. He sees the running back step in that direction. He's reading run action back here. He sees run block this way from the offensive line. So he's got to flow in that direction. Again, while still understanding that I've got to defeat this block, stay square, make the stop, have the play strength, get the ball carrier to the ground, one-on-one. We go back to that Maryland game a couple minutes ago, and we saw that big stop on 4th and goal. In this game, in the third quarter, Memphis had another big 4th down conversion opportunity. It's 4th and 1, right around midfield. Once again, here's Shaun Bradley right in the middle of that Temple defense. Again, he's going to be responsible for this A gap. So what are they going to do here on this play? Well, ball's going to be snapped, and we're going to see real quick, it's going to be a little bit of a pin-pull scheme, all right? So you're going to have the offensive tackle. He's going to block down. You've got the guard. He's going to pull. You're going to have the fullback in the backfield. He's going to pull. They're going to try and get this running back right up the gut, and if not, then he's going to have to try and bounce. Again, it's 4th and 1. You ideally don't want to get too east-west as a running back. So here's Shaun Bradley, once again, number 5. He's got to make sure recognizes the run and get in position to be able to make this stop. What you really like here is not just his ability to recognize, but look how quickly he's getting downhill. His other teammates, right, they're a couple yards behind him. He's already up near the line of scrimmage, and he's shooting his gap. He's getting downhill because the ball carrier hasn't gotten the football yet from the quarterback, but watch his reaction when he sees where Bradley is in that gap. There's Bradley, already showed up. Ball carrier sees this. Instead of getting this downhill, following the fullback, he now has to bounce and take this a little bit more east-west. Bradley showing up in that gap was pivotal here. Running back gets east-west. The rest of the red jerseys there in Cherry, they all do their job, and they get a stop on 4th down. Huge win for Temple, especially in the AAC, as they tried to make a run to be able to win that conference. Obviously, came up a little bit short late in the season. So let's now fast forward to another game. This was actually a little bit earlier in the season against Georgia Tech. Their former head coach, Jeff Collins, he went down there this past or 2 off seasons ago. Took over for Paul Johnson. They were a big triple option run team for a long time. They ran a lot of option runs. So Jeff Collins, not an option coach, but still, as a good coach does, tries to still keep a little bit of what they did the previous year, so it's not a huge transition for everybody on that roster. So early on in this game, first quarter, third series of the game, they're going to run some option football here. So you're going to have what's called triple option for the quarterback. And real quickly, here's Shaun Bradley. We're going to get to what Shaun Bradley does on this play, but I'll just quickly go through a little bit of an option football for you. So the quarterback, all he's doing is reading. Am I going to hand this ball off? Am I going to keep it And then once he gets into that keep it phase, he's got to decide off of this pitch key, am I going to keep the football or am I going to pitch it to this running back coming from my right side across to the left, pitch it, and that's the triple option. 1, 2, 3. 3 different options on that play for the quarterback. Now, again, we're going to just kind of focus here on Shaun Bradley. Here's Shaun Bradley right in the middle of the Temple defense. What's going to happen here is that the running back, that first option, is actually going to get to the football. So Bradley has got to understand he's got to get downhill. He doesn't have to defeat a block here on this play, but you just like the finish one-on-one as a tackler. I'll play at full speed here. You can just see him come downhill, wrap up, bring his feet, get to the ball carrier to the ground. No yards on 2nd and 3. That brings up 3rd down. Nice tackle here in the hole by Shaun Bradley. I thought there were some tackles that he kind of let through his grasp a little bit when you watch him on film, but I thought overall this was one of his better tackles that I saw over the course of 3, 4, 5 games that I studied this offseason. Nice tackle in the hole here by Shaun Bradley. Now, one of the things that I'm always looking for with all positions, it's easy when you look at the combine, you try and get those athletic measurables. You can say, oh, this guy's a 4.4 guy, or this is how he runs, this is how he does the 3-cone. On film, it's not always as easy to be able to pinpoint a guy's athleticism. And it might be just a little thing here or there, a little flash here or there that might say, yeah, like that was a pretty athletic move. That was pretty, a nice little maneuver that this guy was able to do, maybe to avoid contact or make a play in space. Anything where you kind of just get a little bit of a glimpse at a guy's athleticism. Some positions, it's easier to see than others. Now, here is Shaun Bradley. This is going to be a perimeter run to the right. I just want you to see a little bit of a surge here. This was what kind of gave me a little bit of an idea that we might see a more explosive athlete than maybe what we expected. That's what we saw at the combine. He was one of the better testers, especially from an explosive sense, literally in a straight line. I thought that he really showed up there in Indianapolis. You can see, again, his ability to defeat this block up at the 2nd level. I'm playing it in slow motion now, but I want you to see what he does at full speed. Again, staying square, eyes on the football. He's present in his gap. He's able to defeat the block and finishes one-on-one. Nice tackle. Play this full speed. I just want you to see just that subtle burst, a little bit of a change of speed here at the very top as he's about to defeat this block. Here he goes. Play at full speed. Staying square. Right there. It's not huge, but you just got to see that little subtle change of speed. Again, right there. Staying square, staying under control, and finishing. That's a really big, I talked about this last time with Kayvon Wallace, right? Is that, the ability to finish one-on-one in the hole as a tackler, that's not a given, and that you need a certain level of athleticism to be able to break down and finish. Again, Shaun Bradley showing that ability, changing speeds, being able to stay under control, finish, make the play one-on-one. Now, one last play we're going to take a look at. We're going to go back to the passing game here. We saw that pass breakup on the RPO in the very first play. We're going to see another pass breakup here on the last play. This one's not an RPO. This one is straight play action in the red zone, down in the low red zone, getting inside the 10-yard line. Now, here is Shaun Bradley, and I want you to see what's going to happen. Basically, you're going to see is a couple different slant routes here from the offense, and they're going to just run a little bit of a play-action fake, and that's really meant to affect Bradley. They're hoping that they can suck him in close to the line of scrimmage and create a throwing window for the quarterback, but Bradley's not having it. As we're going to see here, the ball snapped. There's the run fake. They're hoping that Bradley kind of cheats and sucks in a little bit. He does a nice job staying disciplined. He trusts his athleticism that he doesn't need to try and shoot downhill immediately. He can be patient. He does not need to get downhill super fast. He does not need to be a fast flow player. He trusts his athleticism, does a nice job of staying disciplined here. Once he sees pass, now look at his eyes. He's looking out towards the sideline, tries to get a sense of, all right, what's the route that's coming my way? He sees that slant. He's seen it on film a number of times. So what's he going to do? He's going to retreat, get back into the throwing lane, get his eyes back to the quarterback, and make this play. There he is, gets the eyes back to the quarterback, has the athleticism, gets one hand on the football. Almost an interception there, but he does a nice job getting the pass breakup nonetheless. And we'll stay here on the end zone angle. There he is on the far right of the screen, bottom right corner. Again, just getting a sense of his awareness and coverage, understanding what the offense was trying to do to attack them, getting into the throwing lane, coming up with the pass breakup. And Shaun Bradley, again, tested very well at the combine, was a longtime leader for that Temple defense. I remember I talked with Rod Carey, the head coach at Temple, after the Eagles drafted him, right here on PhiladelphiaEagles.com. He said he's the best leader that he's ever been around. He's, again, starting to check boxes, right? High character, high athletic traits, showed the ability to play downhill, play through contact, defeat blocks, finish tackles one-on-one, defend the run, defend the pass. Still areas that he's got to improve, right? You need to see him get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit better in terms of being able to finish some of those one-on-one opportunities in the hole. That's the reason why he was a 5th-round pick. But a lot to like there with Shaun Bradley. Excited to see him continue to develop here in this shortened offseason once these guys are on the field here this summer for training camp. And for more breakdowns just like this on the rest of our rookie class here with the Philadelphia Eagles, stay tuned next week here on the Film Room presented by Chickies and Pete's.